You know, they say the mark of a good woodworker isn't that you never make mistakes, but that you learn how to fix your mistakes or even hide the mistakes that you make. And we've got an opportunity to fix a pretty significant mistake on this serving board that I made. Did another video about that. But on the back side here, as I was cutting the dados, and hopefully you can see this, made a pretty significant mistake on cutting this out. I used the wrong size chisel and actually made some pretty big gouges on both sides of the foot here. So we're going to work on fixing that today. So the technique I'm going to do is I've got some sawdust of the same type wood. This actually was pulled together from another project using the same board. Mixture of very fine sawdust, a little bit thicker sawdust. We're going to put a few drops of wood glue in there. And we're going to make our own version of wood putty. But the advantage is it is the same sawdust that was used for the wood itself. So if we do this right, it should blend in very nicely. Okay. Need a little bit more glue in there. You do want to keep this fairly thick so that the glue is not a more prominent part of that. So just mix that up. Get you a nice paste going. Okay. And then we're going to take it in here and just smooth it and really kind of push it in as hard as we can into the cracks. Push it in there really good. And you can see at this point that it is flowing outside of the crack, but that's okay because we'll come back here in a little bit and we will clean that up after the glue and sawdust have a chance to set up. Okay. All right, so that's one side. And we'll do the other side as well. Really does take a lot more sawdust than you think. So when you do a project like this, make sure you have plenty of sawdust. Don't skip on that because at this point it's free because you're using waste from another project. So when I'm using power tools, it's actually pretty easy to collect the sawdust because as you're sawing or sanding, it naturally kicks up a lot more. But when you're using hand tools, you're typically getting either chips or shavings, and that is not appropriate for this particular technique. All right, we're going to let this set up for a while and then see what we come up with later. Thanks. Okay, I've let this sit for longer than was really necessary. It's been a couple hours now. Normally, if you wait an hour at least, you're in pretty good shape. But we've let this set up, so we've got a couple of options now. Using a hand plane to clean this up isn't one of those options because if you look at the plane, there is a gap between the blade and the wall. So we are not able to get right up against that wall to clean it up. Another option we have is the chisel. You'd want to pick the widest chisel that you have so that it can sit flat on the wood itself. I'm not going to go this route. I could do this if necessary. The reason I don't like this particular option is this handle is very heavy. So as I'm moving the chisel, there's actually a lot of momentum that goes with it. And this particular chisel is the one that got me in trouble to begin with because it was cutting side-to-side grooves a little harder to control than I really like. I do have another option though. I have this planer blade from a spoke shave that I've sharpened up really well so it's nice and flat. And we can actually take this now lay it flat on the wood and scrape right up to the foot itself. We can turn it sideways and we can go this way as well. All right, and because the blade itself is flat to the wood, or the back of the blade is flat, it's going to lay flat on the wood, and it's going to give us a nice smooth cut there. So we do both sides. Make sure we're all cleaned up. And then the last step is to take our wax and put another coat on here. And this wax it's made out of beeswax and mineral oil. I make this myself. It's easy to make, easy to apply, and I think it does extremely well. Okay, so we'll put a coat on here. Then we'll go ahead and coat the rest of the board while we're at it. Okay. Once this wax hardens, we can come in and buff it up to a nice shine. And by using this wax, we can always add more as the wax dries out or wears away. And just easy to add. Okay. All right, hope you've liked this video. Again, since we're friends and family, we can talk about some of our flaws, but whoever's going to get this, we won't be discussing the issues with it, because if we wanted to, we could nitpick this thing quite a bit. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what other things you'd like to see, any questions you have about the technique or what we're doing here. And with that, take care. God bless.